From ancient clashes that forged mighty empires to more recent conflicts that defined the boundaries of nations, there are some pivotal battles which have determined the fate of nations, shifted power dynamics, and profoundly influenced human history. These decisive moments, if they had ended differently, would have completely altered the world we live in today. Before we start, it is absolutely necessary to like this video in advance, and if you did not enjoy it, you can take the like back at the end. The Siege of Vienna in 1683 was a critical event that not only saved the Habsburg capital from Ottoman conquest, but also played a crucial role in shaping geopolitical landscape of Europe in the late 17th century. This pivotal event in European history marked the culmination of the Ottoman Empire's expansion into Central Europe. Their defeat marked the beginning of the decline of Ottoman power in the region. The Ottoman Empire was under Sultan Mehmed IV, and their forces were led on the battlefield by Grand Vizier Kara Mustafa Pasha. The Ottoman army was massive, estimated to be around 150,000 soldiers, including infantry, cavalry, and artillery. The Habsburg monarchy, led by Emperor Leopold I, prepared for the Ottoman threat. The defense of Vienna was consisting of approximately 16,000 soldiers, including Austrian, German, and Polish troops. King John III, Sobieski of Poland, playing a crucial role in relieving the siege with the decisive, massive cavalry charge on September 12th, known as the Winged Hussar Charge. The combined Habsburg and Polish forces successfully lifted the siege, and the Ottoman forces retreated, marking the end of the immediate threat. The Siege of Vienna is considered a turning point in European history. But what if the results were different? This defeat was a significant blow to the Ottoman Empire. It marked the beginning of a series of military defeats that ultimately rolled back Ottoman territorial gains in Europe. A successful Ottoman siege could have led to further expansion into Central Europe, altering the balance of power in the region. The territorial consequences for the Habsburg monarchy and neighboring states would have been significant, with various shifts in borders and political control. A successful siege might have prolonged Ottoman dominance in Central Europe, affecting the trajectory of the Ottoman Empire in the late 17th and early 18th centuries, and altering the religious, cultural, and political landscape of the continent. The Battle of Yorktown, fought in 1781, was a pivotal moment that led to the effective end of the American Revolutionary War and set the stage for the recognition of the United States as an independent nation. Yorktown became a key strategic location as the British Army established a fortified position there. The American and French forces, led by General George Washington and General Jean-Baptiste, joined together in a combined effort against the British. The Siege of Yorktown began in September 1781, as the American and French forces surrounded the British positions, cutting off their escape by land and sea. The Allied forces successfully stormed two key British fortified positions on October 14th. This success significantly weakened the British defenses. Facing diminishing supplies, a battered and surrounded army, and with no hope of rescue, General Cornwallis surrendered to General Washington on October 19, 1781. The surrender at Yorktown shocked the British government and public. Although the war continued for a short period, Yorktown marked the effective end of major British military operations in North America. The news of the victory at Yorktown influenced the British government's decision to negotiate peace. Preliminary peace talks began in 1782, leading to the Treaty of Paris in 1783, which officially ended the American Revolutionary War. The victory at Yorktown was a decisive factor in securing American independence, but what if the results were different? It's important to note that British public opinion was already turning against the war, and the financial and logistical challenges of sustaining the conflict were significant. However, a British victory at Yorktown could have prolonged the war, and the terms of peace might have been different. The recognition of American independence and the borders established by the Treaty of Paris might have been subject to negotiation or revision. Also, the British Empire influence in the region would continue. The Battle of Baghdad in 1258 was a pivotal confrontation between the Mongol Empire, led by Hulagu Khan, and the Islamic Caliphate, ruled by Caliph al-Mustasim. The fall of Baghdad is often considered the symbolic end of the Islamic Golden Age. The Mongol invasion of the Islamic world was part of the larger Mongol campaigns to expand their empire. Hulagu Khan, a grandson of Genghis Khan, led the Mongol forces into the heart of the Islamic Caliphate. The Battle of Baghdad signaled the end of the Abbasid Caliphate, one of the longest reigning Islamic dynasties. The Abbasid Caliphate had its capital in Baghdad and was a center of Islamic culture, learning, and governance. The Mongols were known for their effective siege tactics. They employed advanced military engineering techniques, including the use of siege engines and siege craft, to breach the fortified walls of cities. The Mongols laid siege to Baghdad in January 1258. After a lengthy siege, the city's defenses were breached in February 1258, leading to a devastating sack. The capture of Baghdad was followed by widespread massacre, destruction, and looting. The Tigris River was said to have run black with ink from countless books thrown into the water, symbolizing the destruction of the city's libraries and cultural heritage. The House of Wisdom, a renowned intellectual center in Baghdad, suffered severe damage during the sack. Countless manuscripts, scientific works, and cultural artifacts were lost. The sack of Baghdad had a lasting impact on the Islamic world, but what if the results were different? A successful defense of Baghdad could have preserved many of the intellectual and cultural achievements of the Islamic Golden Age, contributing to continued advancements in science, philosophy, and the arts. The defense would also prevent the end of the Abbasid Caliphate and would prevent the fragmentation of power and rise of regional states. The city itself could also avoid the decline in political, economic, and cultural significance. The Battle of Adrianople was a crucial event in the decline of the Roman Empire. It took place on August 9, 378 CE, between the Roman Empire and a coalition of Germanic tribes, primarily the Visigoths. The battle was a significant defeat for the Roman Empire and marked a turning point in the relationship between Rome and the Visigoths. Seeking refuge from the invading Huns, the Visigoths sought permission to settle within the Roman Empire. The Roman authorities mishandled the negotiations with the Visigoths, leading to tensions and ultimately causing the Visigoths to rebel against the Roman Empire. Frustrated with their treatment, the Visigoths revolted, and the conflict escalated to a military confrontation. The Roman army, under Emperor Valens, marched to quell the rebellion and laid siege to the city of Adrianople, where the Visigoths had taken refuge. Emperor Valens, eager to end the siege quickly, made the fateful decision to engage the Visigoths in battle before the arrival of the Eastern Roman reinforcements led by his co-emperor, Gratian. During the course of the battle, Emperor Valens was separated from his troops and surrounded. He was killed, and the Roman army suffered a decisive defeat. The Battle of Adrianople was a catastrophic defeat for the Roman Empire and forced them to reassess its military strategies. The Visigoths, having gained confidence from their victory, continued to pose a significant threat to the Romans in subsequent years. But what if the results were different? A Roman victory might have stabilized the situation in the Eastern Roman Empire and prevented the subsequent incursions of various barbarian groups. A successful integration of the Visigoths within the Roman Empire could have avoided further conflicts and contributed to the stability of the region. The defeat at Adrianople prompted a re-evaluation of Roman military tactics. A victory might have delayed or altered the changes in Roman military strategy. If Valens had survived and won the battle, it could have influenced the political and military leadership in the Eastern Roman Empire. The Battle of Tours is often regarded as a crucial moment in European history, marking the defense of Christian Europe against the expansion of the Islamic Caliphate. The Battle of Tours, also known as the Battle of Poitiers, took place in 732 AD between the Frankish forces, led by Charles Martel, and the Umayyad Caliphate's Islamic forces under Abdul Rahman al-Ghafiqi. The Battle of Tours took place near the town of Tours in present-day France. Abdul Rahman al-Ghafiqi led a large Muslim army into Frankish territory, aiming to conquer more land and expand Islamic rule in Europe. Charles Martel employed a defensive strategy, utilizing the natural terrain to his advantage. The Franks positioned themselves on higher ground, creating a shield wall to withstand the Muslim cavalry charges. The battle ended with the defeat and death of Abdul Rahman al-Ghafiqi. His death led to the collapse of the Muslim resistance, and the Umayyad forces retreated southward. The Battle of Tours is often considered a turning point in European history. Charles Martel's victory is seen as a decisive moment that halted the Muslim advance into Western Europe. But what if the results were different? A Muslim victory at Tours could have led to the further expansion of Islamic rule into Western Europe, altering the religious, cultural, and political landscape of the continent, and impacting the development of Christianity, feudalism, and the eventual rise of European nation-states. Other aspects of culture, art, architecture, science could have been affected. The siege of Constantinople in 1453 marked the fall of the Byzantine Empire and the rise of the Ottoman Empire under Sultan Mehmed II. It also marked the end of the medieval era and the beginning of the Renaissance. By the 15th century, Constantinople, the capital of the Byzantine Empire, had been in a state of decline. The city, strategically located on the Bosporus Strait, was a major economic and cultural hub. The Ottoman Empire, led by Sultan Mehmed II, aimed to expand its territories and saw Constantinople as a key prize. The Ottomans had unsuccessfully attempted to capture the city in 1397 and 1422. Constantinople was well fortified with massive walls and a chain across the Golden Horn to block naval access. However, by 1453, Sultan Mehmed II meticulously prepared for the siege. He ordered the construction of massive cannons, including the famous basilica, capable of firing large projectiles at the city's walls. The Ottoman fleet, under the command of Baltaoglu, implemented a naval blockade to cut off supplies and reinforcements to Constantinople from the sea. The siege began on April 6, 1453, and lasted for several weeks. The Ottomans bombarded the city walls with cannons, and a series of assaults were launched against the defenders. On May 29, 1453, the Ottomans successfully breached the walls of Constantinople. The defenders, led by Emperor Constantine, fought valiantly, but the city's fate was sealed. The fall of Constantinople had a profound impact on the Christian world and marked the end of the Middle Ages. But what if the results were different? A successful defense of Constantinople could have prolonged the existence of the Byzantine Empire. The Ottomans would have faced challenges in expanding further into Europe without control of Constantinople. The balance of power in the Mediterranean and the Balkans might have been different. The fall of Constantinople contributed to the exodus of Greek scholars to Western Europe, influencing the Renaissance. The Battle of Stalingrad, fought from August 23, 1942 to February 2, 1943, was one of the largest and bloodiest battles in history, and a critical and decisive confrontation in World War II, with far-reaching consequences for the Eastern Front and the overall course of the war. The Battle of Stalingrad was part of Operation Barbarossa, the German invasion of the Soviet Union. Stalingrad, a major industrial city on the Volga River, was a key strategic target for both Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. Controlling Stalingrad would provide access to the Caucasus oil fields and disrupt Soviet communication and supply lines. In November 1942, the Soviets launched a massive counteroffensive, Operation Uranus, encircling the German 6th Army inside Stalingrad. The encirclement cut off German supply lines and trapped their forces. The battle witnessed extreme winter conditions, with freezing temperatures, scarcity of supplies, and a lack of proper clothing for the soldiers on both sides. The harsh winter added to the challenges faced by the besieged German forces. The trapped German forces, led by General Friedrich Paulus, faced starvation, freezing temperatures, and Soviet assaults. On February 2, 1943, Paulus surrendered, marking a significant victory for the Soviet Union. The Battle of Stalingrad resulted in immense casualties on both sides, with estimates ranging from 2 to 2.5 million people. The city itself was left in ruins due to the intense fighting and heavy bombardment. The Soviet victory at Stalingrad was a turning point in the Eastern Front. The defeat severely weakened the German army, and the Soviets began to regain the initiative, eventually pushing the Germans back. This also signaled a change in the overall momentum of the war in favor of the Allies. But what if the results were different? A German victory at Stalingrad could have allowed the Nazis to control the Volga River and advance further into the Soviet Union, potentially altering the course of the Eastern Front, and might have had a demoralizing effect on the Soviet war effort. Control of Stalingrad would have provided Germany with access to crucial resources, including the Caucasus oil fields. This could have prolonged Germany's ability to sustain its war machine. A German victory would also affect the timing and nature of Allied operations on the Eastern Front, possibly resulting in Germany winning the World War II. These battles did more than just decide winners and losers. They shaped the world as we know it. From ancient times to recent history, these moments have not just changed maps, but also how we live and think. They remind us that history's course can pivot on a single day, and that our world could have been very different. Let's remember these battles not just as stories of the past, but as lessons for our future, guiding us towards a world of understanding and peace. Thank you for watching this video, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment about our next video topics. Until next time.